Hey friend, this is episode number 580 of the And So podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents And So with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
And so, what is it?
Hello, welcome to episode 580. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for tuning in and pressing play. I've got a jam-packed full episode today that is probably a note taker. So just putting that out there before we start into the business nugget for today. Let's find out what's been going on in my life since last week. In the garden, I'm about to get a lot of work done. We will be going to Colorado in August, and I need to do some overhauling before we actually go. So that is what is happening this week. With the house, our drywall is almost finished. Cabinets are being delivered soon. I need to go pick out my countertops and get some more tile ordered. Man, we're so close. I think we have our paint person hired or close to being hired, and then it's appliances, and then do we really get to move in? Oh my gosh, we might really get to move in. All right, in the books world, I finished another Nancy Drew book, number 5, The Secret of Shadow Ranch. I won't bore you with the synopsis of the book, but so much nostalgia for me and Nancy Drew. So that is what I finished this past week. And now let's dive into the first segment of the show, unhinged comments from people on the internet. So we were definitely a little tame last week, which is a step up or a step down, however you want to look at it, from last week, which was 0. But we had 3 humans, and actually one of them bantered back and forth with me quite a few times, and then I had to block him. And this person found themselves on my Instagram profile previously, so we are welcoming back Seed Guru. That is who landed in my Instagram, and I'm going to pull up what he said to me, which I only screenshot a few of what he said, but, you know, it's enough for you to get an idea. So my reel was titled 2 ways to avoid explosive poop emoji this summer with the ghost face emoji. And so Seed Guru 103 chimed in on this particular reel and said how to avoid expensive poop, grow your own food, question emoji. All my life, I've been eating that vegetables, never gotten sick from them. Sad face, and then weird face emoji. And taste the same as homegrown, which I had to wait months to harvest a few and see the rest eaten by bugs and birds. Shocked face emoji. Then I have to pay even more to keep them safe. He goes on later to write, you got a lot to learn still. Have an amazing day. There was a lot more in those in-between comments because he was just not getting the point. And I never said that growing food was cheaper than going to the grocery store. That was what I started with. I never said it was cheaper. So I don't even know why we're talking, but okay. And then this person was, I'm just saying, is anonymous. They initially reached out to me to ask if I would share a GoFundMe they created for their child who needed an air conditioner. And I just regrammed it and moved on about my day. And they showed back up in my inbox and said, "Thank you for sharing and being kind, but I am removing my GoFundMe because I didn't get any support other than your kindness. I received bullying and hate, so I'm going, and I will pray that myself can make it through this difficult time. Thank you again, and God bless you." And I screenshot this one for the simple fact of the extremes that I get with humans on the internet. And then finally, Mr. David responded to me talking about growing potatoes differently for this year. It's like the whole point was I didn't have a successful spring, and so I'm going to try just growing them in the fall and see if that experiment is better than my spring experiment. And David just didn't get the memo. So he says, yes, it's called fall gardening. That was very mansplaining, David. And continues potatoes, onions, carrots, cabbage, broccoli, and here in early mid-August for a fall harvest. Yes, David, I'm very, very aware of fall gardening. This reel was literally only about potatoes and me having a crappy spring and me talking about what I'm going to do differently in the fall. And oh, by the way, maybe it should only be a fall thing. Maybe I shouldn't attempt potatoes in the spring. David, you missed the whole point. I literally have been talking about fall gardening since the beginning of July. And here we are, as of this recording, July 21st. So thank you, David, and to the others for this week's Unhinged Comments. All right, let's move into the next segment. Search bar confessions. All right, I Googled temperature and relative humidity because I was needing to figure out some data at this water claim house we're working right now. Jack Reacher next season because I've been waiting way too long. Sourdough chocolate cake, which I made and is delicious. Schluter-Curdy waterproofing because that is the system we are installing in our showers. What kills ants instantly? I noticed after this last massive rain we had, I had ants in my kitchen area at the shop for the first time in 6 years. And so I was like, I don't have any ant poison. I shouldn't spray any ant poison in here. I have a bunch of vegetables hanging out. So what are my alternatives? Turns out, Dawn dish spray. Instantly, in case you didn't know. Squash blossoms in Santa Fe. I could not remember the restaurant I ate at in Santa Fe with squash blossoms, but it was La Fonda, if you were wondering. I also Googled Leadville Railroad, best Sherwin-Williams paint line, and finally, what is in Cavender's Greek seasoning? Because I was eating a cucumber fresh out of my garden, and I love me some Cavender's, but I didn't have any, so I wanted to know what was in it. And I Googled. For the most part, I figured it out. I didn't have every ingredient that evidently is in Cavender's Greek seasoning, but I made do, and it was delicious. And that wraps up this week's Search Bar Confessions. Okay, moving into this week's business nugget, I hope you have something to write on, or a voice note, or a notepad on your phone, because this one's juicy. Drum roll, please, for the topic for this week. What should we actually be doing next in our businesses? That's what I'm talking about today. So the real conversation isn't about the next trend or platform or product or funnel or even AI tool. Most business owners don't need another idea. We just need to make better use of what we've already built. AI adoption has accelerated. Content is easier than ever to produce. Small businesses are being encouraged to move faster, but consumers are spending more carefully. And at the same time, creators are putting more energy into owned audiences, deeper community, and sustainable businesses rather than depending on reach and virality. So the next move in your business isn't actually more. It is depth, refinement, connection, and conversion. So here's the question to ponder. Are you building the next thing because your business truly needs it, or because starting something new feels more exciting than making the current thing work? So this is what we should be doing next. I'm going to give you 8 things that you should be doing next, with number 1 being figure out what's already working before launching anything else. So what content is consistently bringing people in? What are people already asking you for? Which offer has actually sold? Which traffic source produces buyers, not just views? What work creates revenue versus making you feel productive? I want to put this as an aside. So recently I actually shut down my Meta follower ads. So I hit 31,600 followers in 5.5 months from deleting 1,700 and hitting the ground running at 1,876 followers. 5.5 months later, I'm at 31,600 and some change. And I was starting to see the gap in between the followers and how my content was performing. And how my content was performing was still bringing 75 to 80% non-followers to my account and not tackling the 31,000 already following me. Only 20% or less, or maybe a little bit more, was actually seeing that content I was working so hard to create, which I'm still working so hard to create. But I was like, you know what? Okay, it's time to hit the pause button on the ads and start really nurturing these 31,000 people that are now following me. So that is where I'm at right now in that Instagram journey. So the last question to ask yourself for this first point of figuring out what's already working before launching anything else is, what work creates revenue versus making you feel productive? So going back to those 31,000 people and going back to the previous question, which was which traffic source produces buyers, not just views, both of those are questions I'm asking myself, which traffic source is producing buyers, not just views? Well, actually, I think my buyers are mostly coming from Facebook, which is the account I'm not focused on growing. So since I'm focused on growing Instagram, I want to convert the views and the followers to revenue or to buyers, which goes into the final question, what work creates revenue and making you feel productive? Well, right now I'm feeling super productive with Instagram, but actually I think my money is coming in from Facebook. But Facebook's a little bit more all up in your grill. They're way more feisty over there. Okay, so now let's dive into number 2 of the things we should actually be doing in our businesses. Strengthen the path between attention and revenue. So what does that mean? A lot of us do not have an attention problem. We have a path problem. People watch, they like, they follow, they may even trust us, but they don't clearly know what we sell, why they need it, which offer is right for them, or what they should do next. You may need a clearer bridge between your audience and your offer. Number 3, sell the thing we already made because we did spend months creating it. We spent months creating courses and services and memberships and digital products and free resources and our funnels. And then we mention it 3 times, decide no one wants it, and then go build something else. Does that sound familiar? Your next move is to develop the skill and tolerance, so that's the key word, tolerance, required to repeatedly sell the same offer over and over and over and over and over. That's why one of the gurus that I follow, Maria Went, she says, sell your thing 100 times before you ever start running ads to it. First of all, that's proof of concept. Second of all, that is incredible metrics to go feed Meta. Hey, here's the 100 people that said they wanted my product, that my product was needed. Go find me another 5 million of those exact type of people. Number 4, build owned attention. Social media, while still incredibly valuable, should be the introduction to you, not the entire relationship. Ooh, mic drop. Epidemic Sound recently created their 2026 creator report, and they found 72% of creators are actively building audiences outside of their primary platforms through channels such as newsletters and communities. It's why we are seeing an uptick in Substacks lately. So we should be asking, how do people stay connected to us? Can we contact them without an algorithm? Are we giving them a reason to join our email list? Are we nurturing the people who already raised their hands? Number 5, use AI behind the business, not instead of yourself. That's a novel idea. How can AI remove repetitive work so I have the capacity for the work only I can do? So you need to write that down. How can AI remove repetitive work so I have the capacity for the work only I can do? Use AI to analyze customer questions, organize your ideas, repurpose your existing work, identify patterns in sales or content, improve your systems, and reduce your admin work. Don't let it flatten the very personality, experience, opinions, and specificity that make people choose you. Number 6, go deeper with the people already paying attention. Here's the better question to ask. How do I become more valuable to the people who are already here? Better customer support, more useful emails, stronger onboarding, better product outcomes, listening more closely, or creating the next offer from demonstrated demand. That's actually where the offer I'm currently working to build came from demonstrated demand, from literal conversations that I've had in 5.5 months with this latest pivot into gardening. All right, number 7, fix the leaky parts before expanding. Before adding another platform or offer or employee or even revenue stream, ask yourself these questions. Is the current offer positioned clearly? Does the checkout process work? Are customers completing the product? Do they understand the outcome? Are you following up with leads? Are you asking past customers what they need next? And finally, are you tracking revenue, expenses, and profitability? All right, last one, number 8. Decide what business you are actually building. Are you building a personal brand, a media company, a service business, a product company, a local business, a lifestyle business, or a company you want to eventually sell? What you should do next cannot be answered until you know what you are trying to build right now. So a tactic can be successful and still take you somewhere you do not want to go. Let that sink in. So you might come up with a new strategy to do X, Y, and Z, but it may take you somewhere you didn't want to go. I feel like we all think, I'm going to say the collective we, that we all think it is easy to keep building new things because we are capable of building them. Like legitimately, that's our superpower. We can keep building the things because we can, because we're capable of doing that. But here's the big one. But capability does not automatically equal alignment. So what deserves your full attention long enough to compound? That's the final question. So the next era of business isn't about who can create the most, post the most, or jump onto the newest tool first. It belongs to the business owner who can identify what is working, deepen it, communicate it clearly, and stay with it long enough for it to compound. So again, what deserves your full attention long enough to compound? That answers number 8. Decide what business you're actually building. All right, let's quickly recap those 8. Number 1, figure out what's already working. Number 2, strengthen the path between attention and revenue. Number 3, sell the thing you already made. Number 4, build owned attention. Number 5, use AI behind the business, not instead of yourself. Number 6, go deeper with the people already paying attention. Number 7, fix the leaky parts before expanding. And finally, number 8, decide what business you are actually building. All right, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week.
And flow. Let's go. Let's go.
And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.